success to me is just like about enduring and finding the people and surrounding yourself with people that can uplift you, and just to always work hard no matter how much you think it doesn't affect you. Like, it's just like being you and staying genuine to what you do.
What's up, everybody? This is Fred Richani. We have right here via Zoom a very special guest. She is a national champion in women's college basketball. She's a former NXT women's tag team champion, a former WWE women's tag team champion. She is one of the stars of Friday Night SmackDown on the road to WrestleMania. We are talking to Lacey Lane, better known to wrestling fans worldwide as Kayden Carter. Kayden, thank you so much for joining us. How's everything going?
It's awesome. It's a lot going on, especially with the road to WrestleMania. So we're just very busy getting prepared and anything that we can do to help better that week.
For sure. Now, I know things didn't go your way on SmackDown. You had that fantastic tag team gauntlet match. Y'all did impress while you were in the ring with Bayley and Lyra, but you also just came off of a very busy European tour. How's your body and mind feeling?
I'm still recovering. I was sick before we went there, and it's a lot of traveling and a lot of work, obviously. And I feel like my body is just like still trying to recuperate and just be in there. Cause once you go, everyone's like, oh, you get like a little break. No, you don't. You just keep on rolling into the next week. Gotta train hard. Katana and I have spent the past few weeks like training down at the PC, training pretty hard and helping a lot of the talent down there as well. They've been helping us too, to give us bodies and help like go over our stuff in ring and stuff. So it's been pretty busy and hectic, and I feel like I'm falling apart, but it's all right.
Hey, well, you're doing great. We're happy to have you on. And I got to ask, because I forgot to mention one more job title: social media sensation. You've gone viral on TikTok over the years, have well over 1 million followers, as I mentioned to you off air. There's a lot of people that recognize you just for TikTok. So
Right.
When you're out on the streets, whether it's in Europe or in the States, are you being recognized more for TikTok or WWE?
It's a cross, because like, so before, like I said, it was a lot of TikTok. I remember one time I was at like Earth Day birthday and everyone kept saying something about TikTok, and I was like, wow, it's like that crazy. Like I didn't realize that. But then now, ever since I started shooting with more of the superstars, especially with priests and stuff like that, it ties to both. You know what I'm saying? Because they enjoy the TikToks, but then you have the people who like actually like love priest. So it's like both. It's like I feel like it's equal now. As where before it was like a lot of TikTok, and then now it's like, okay, wrestling and TikTok combined. So it's like I'd say it's 50-50.
And I feel like it's a very different era in pro wrestling, especially WWE, whereas before maybe that was not so much frowned upon, but your character is very much what we see on TV, and
Yes.
now it's like it's expanding to social media. So do you feel like the company and the industry as a whole has kind of really embraced that to allow you to showcase your personality?
I think so, because I think a lot of us in the industry now are ourselves. I think that like I'm 100% genuinely me, minus like maybe a little bit of my attitude, like that they don't see. I mean, we're perceived as party girls, but I do love to go out. I love line dancing. I love to be out in that kind of atmosphere. I love EDC. I love festivals. I like rock festivals. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's just like a little part of me, just like, and people actually get to see that those layers as well. It's that they don't just see like the party, but they see like that I genuinely have a personality, that I like to have fun, that I like to kid around, that I like to be goofy. You know what I'm saying? And you don't necessarily get to see that all the time in the wrestling world, because we don't get the opportunity to show it. So I think that by WWE allowing us to have that social and embrace it, gives people that chance to like really see like me as a human, or like me for like what I really am, instead of like whatever they would just assume that I am in WWE.
So have you always been funny?
I feel like I've been a goofball. I literally, like, one day, I don't know when that day will be, and I don't know if it will ever come, okay? But I used to record. I used to have my grandpa's camcorder, and we would always do skits. So before Vine, before any of those things, I would have my cousins doing stuff like, singing outside of a car, throwing things at them playing like soap opera roles. Like I used to do a lot of funny things like that. So it started pretty early for me, because I love like film and editing, and I love that kind of thing like on the side. So I would say that I always have been. I've always been a character. I will say that.
I love that. Fun fact, before I got into hosting, I would do skits too. Like I would just like really
Yeah.
record with my friends and just do something wacky. I don't know if they'll ever see the light of day. They probably shouldn't, but
Right. I want to so bad to be like, you know what? This happened before we had this like extreme like internet platform stuff. Okay, guys. You gotta own a VHS though.
Okay, real. I love that. There you go. Hey, well, they're making a comeback, right? I see people with MP3 players now. They're like, look at this cool thing. I'm like, listen, kids,
Yeah.
You had to be there.
You know, it was people don't realize our time was the funnest time. I don't care what anyone says. Like everyone makes fun of like millennials and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, our era and a little before, I feel like was the best time. And that's why it's so popular now because it was just such a carefree, cool, just unique, different time. And you know, we're cool. We're cool. I'm just gonna say that.
I agree. And spoiler alert, we are the same age, so we are also part of the generation that's it's crazy to think about the last generation to grow up without internet access.
Yes. And I say that all the time. I'm like, you know, I had fun just going outside. I said I just played like with my friends outside. I did activities outside. There was so many things to like, you know, to entertain. And but even though we had AOL, I feel like that still isn't the same. It's not even close to the same. So like I'm like, bring back my dial-up, guys. Bring it back.
Yeah, oh yeah, because back then, like you had dial up. It took a while, and
Yeah.
then the worst thing would be is you're online, you're chatting with your friends on AIM, and then like your mom or somebody would make a call on that same line and disconnect you.
Yes, exactly. You only had specific times you could do it and you couldn't share. And my phone also didn't have like you couldn't send screen or photos. And I had Snake, and it was just like you had to pay for texts. So you had to quickly send one text for 15 cents.
You're definitely jogging my memory there. So you talked about doing these skits and everything, not on CDs, not on DVDs, but on VHS. So you've kind of had like that entertainment gene from way back in the day. So was the entertainment industry or something involving pro wrestling kind of always in the back of your mind, or were you just focused on basketball, where you, of course, for Shaw did win a Division II national championship?
Yeah, no, it wasn't honestly. Like I don't know why. I think it was just because like that's how I felt like I want to say like most like free and just like being able to be me and just to make people happy is why I started to shoot those skits. And I always thought that I would end up in something with basketball. And then after a while, I was just like, this isn't fun for me anymore. And I was like, I don't know what to do because in Filipino culture, obviously you got to be a nurse. They'll get it. The people who know, they know. But I didn't want to do that. I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I have too much energy to sit still. You know, like regular jobs, I feel like were never for me. So then one time, my friend brought me to NXT, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anything because I used to watch it back then with my dad, but then this was a whole different beast. So I went to Full Sail, watched a show, and I like fell in love. I was watching Tyler Breeze versus Sami Zayn, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is this? And it was like back in the day when like Sasha Banks and Charlotte were like the best friends with like Summer Rae and like you know Bailey and Alexa and all those girls were like just like getting started. So like I've actually got to sit there and watch the evolution of it, and like obviously that's so inspiring to me because it's like they are so great, and the come up was so awesome, and I've been there along the journey to finally get to where I am now, and it's always like playing catch up. Like I want to, you know, I wanted to do that. So it really, those people like really inspired me to, you know, to work so hard to get to where I am now because I just happened to one day fall into it and just fell in love all over again.
That is pretty amazing to think about, right? The four horsewomen, and of course, the other women, as you mentioned, like Alexa Bliss and Summer Rae, really kind of inspired a whole generation. I feel like that's kind of happening right now with women's basketball and in particular the WNBA. So if women's basketball in general was as popular as it is now back then when you got out of college, would you have maybe pursued the WNBA or something overseas, or did you kind of already feel burned out and want to do more as far as like creatively?
So I actually was trying to go to the Philippines. Like I really wanted to go play overseas. Like I saw that you could like play one more year of like ball over there, and I was like maybe like all my friends were. I played in an all men's Filipino league actually with a bunch of my friends, and then a lot of them went over to the Philippines, and I was like I wanted to follow them. I wanted to like you know I felt like that was living the dream. But then I kind of like I got a call to go to have a tryout for the WWE. So that's what kind of like you know, like changed my mind because it was like I didn't know if it was ever gonna happen because I didn't know how it worked. Like I'm out here like, okay, I can't say this because I feel like people are gonna go and find it. But like, you know, like when I wanted to like try out for Tough Enough or like you know you have to like submit videos and I didn't know how that process worked, so like I'm out here making all these like videos like trying to get myself noticed and stuff like that, and I was like okay well I don't know how else to go about this, so like the next thing I can do is just go overseas because that's what I know, that's what I grew up my whole life with. And then I got a call saying like hey like we want to give you a tryout, and I was like oh my god, like I freaked out. I was like this is crazy because I was only like less than 10 months in the business like of wrestling school. So when I got that call it was like crazy because everyone told me like oh it takes you years to get a tryout, like it doesn't ever happen on the first time, like all this other stuff, and I was like okay well I guess it's not happening for me. So once I got that call like I was like okay let's do what we can.
Wow, and the rest is history. And you said you only been trained for 10 months. From my
Yes.
understand, based on the Google machine, it tells you trained under a little team known as Team 3D, aka the Dudley
Yes.
Boys. So how
Yeah.
was that? So how was that experience and that initiation into pro wrestling coming out of college basketball?
I mean, I should say that my first day, I should have absolutely quit, okay? Because I had no idea what I was doing. And it was the day that the Dudleys were making their DVD. Like they were filming, and it was my first day of their class. And then for some reason, Bub was like, hey, you, like, come up here and let's cut a promo. And I mean, I know how it works, but I've never done one. So, like, I get up there, and my natural reaction when I'm like panicking is to laugh. It's to laugh and to like, just like, freak out and not know what I'm doing. So then I start like laughing, not because I think it's funny, but because I'm panicking, because like I'm cutting it and I don't know how. And he's like, go sit down, sit your ass down. I was just like, okay, I should have quit. But after that, like my trainers and everyone there like really opened me with open arms, and I picked up so fast that that's why it just became like I wanted to work harder, because I'm someone who, like, if I fail, I want to work as hard as I can, to get better or to improve at it, and just to say that I did it. So like for me that was like kind of like a stab to the heart. So obviously my wrestling, I worked really hard, and I fell in love with it so much more just because I was so determined to be so good, and I just learned so fast, and that's what really like just changed everything. And it's like the transition was a little easy then, cuz like I was at my top peak from basketball, and like you have to be a top in your top shape, to be a professional wrestler, because there's so many things that go into it. So I feel like the transition was easy, just because team player, you know how to work well with others, you have coaches. So for me, I feel like the transition was very easy.
That's a great comparison. Of course, physically, it was easy because you were at the top of your peak athletically. But
Yeah.
I'd imagine there's also the mental aspect, right?
Yes.
Fitting in, being kind of an outsider and everything, and then just navigating all the different things you don't expect, like the travel, the media attention, all that
Right.
jazz. So, what was the biggest adjustment for you on the mental side of things?
It was just knowing that, like, sometimes you can work really, really hard and it just may not be your time. Like, I feel like people don't realize that is like you always have to stay working hard. And, D-Von and Bubba always used to tell me, like, have your bags ready at the door, because, you never know when they're gonna call on you. And like you can't in like basketball, I can become the best 3-point shooter, the best free throw shooter. I can become the leading, leading an assist. I can do whatever. But here, like, that's not something that is necessarily that you can control, which is like the harsh reality of things. Is like, yes, I can do whatever it is, I can be as different as I want, but if it's not my time, then it's not my time. And like, it's like knowing that it's not because you're bad or you're not ready, or you know what I'm saying. It's just like knowing that, like, you have to be strong, knowing that there will be a moment where it is your moment, and just hanging on to that, and like not letting anyone else get to you, or like just like let your feelings get in the way. Because I did struggle with that a little bit. It was like, dang, like I don't know what to do. But then over time I realized, like, dang, like I'm a champion now. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, it's
yeah.
like that. Like you can be sad and not really realize like that it takes a hard mental block, because that time months ago wasn't for me. But then right now I'm holding a title, that's finally my moment. So it didn't say that I didn't work hard, but you just have to know that it won't always be right when you want it to be.
That's a great mentality to have, and it would kind of be similar to like maybe like a sixth man, right? Like Jamal
Mhm.
Crawford. Like maybe you're not always in the starting lineup, but when your number gets
Right.
called, you got to be ready to deliver.
Exactly. Because you just want to give it, because that could be like a changing moment for you. Like, people don't like think about it that way. They think like, oh, it's just one match. But no, every match is like showing like what your potential is, or like where your future could lie. Like it could be the changing moment for you. And I take it very seriously, because every time I go out there, I want to make sure that I'm making an impact, that I'm bringing in at least one new person who wants to watch us, because I want to be that great. Like, I want to leave a legacy there. I want to do something just so good, just because I felt like I was meant to do it.
Definitely, you and Katana Chance, great impression on SmackDown. I know it didn't go your way for the road to
Mhm.
WrestleMania, but I
Yeah.
mean, I heard those pops. They were legit. That match was pretty damn exciting. So even though it didn't necessarily go your way for Kayden Carter, does it mean something to hear the crowd ooh and ah when you're doing those moves and kind of getting
It
all intense in it?
it does, because it's like, the world can sit here and feel like, because we don't, like I said, we don't get we haven't had a lot of TV time as much as, like, higher up talents and whatnot. And to know that we can have that effect on people and like entertain people, it feels like we're doing the right thing. If they made no noise, and I'd be like, okay, then obviously we're not doing something right, or we're not good or anything. But like, it pushes me. It gives me so much more fire inside, because it's like, if you even gave us like an opportunity, if we had one chance, I'm talking about like a mania chance, a PLE chance, like anything. When I say the fire that we have inside and we would show out, like, people are gonna be like off their seats type of deal. Like, we're waiting to unleash that cannon. You know what I'm saying? So like, even just like the little crowd and stuff like that, is like, we know we're doing our job, and that we know we're getting people, even though people think like, oh, like maybe they're not over. There's no noise. I'm like, there's noise. There's always some noise, and we're gonna always make sure that I don't care what nobody says. They can talk all that crap they want to. Whatever. Fight me if you don't like it.
I'd imagine what you're trying to say is maximize your minutes, right?
Of course, like, no matter how many it is, like I said, I read a couple of things, and everyone's like, oh, 2 minutes, this, and honestly, and people are mad for me. They say that, but honestly, I came home very happy. I came home because people were saying so many positive things to us in the back. Like, a lot of people were just like, that was really great, like that was awesome, so unique. Some of the boys were telling me the boys were popping in the back, like, for some of the things that they saw. And I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Like, you're telling me these iconic tag teams, these guys who have been around for a long time, these legends are like, you guys are unique and awesome. And that means more to me than any kind of time that I can ever have, because someone of that level is saying that you're actually good, and like that they appreciated what they saw. Like, that's a lot. And that makes me so happy, just because, like I said, on the other mentality side, when you think you're not doing something, when you think you're not good, then they say those things, and it's like, dang, like, I had to sit back and really just be like, damn, that really happened. Like, they really think something of us. So it's really cool.
Definitely cool. I love to hear that. Yeah, it's great to have a positive fan reaction, but whether it's in basketball or pro wrestling, always amazing to have the respect of your peers.
Right. I love that. Like, it's just meaningful to hear from people that you want to, inspire to be like. So, I mean, it's heartwarming.
Now, you've been teaming with Katana for, aka Kacy Catanzaro, New Jersey's own, for a while now. And I would have thought, hey, y'all have known each other for quite a long time, given your in-ring chemistry. But you two were kind of put together in recent years. So was that chemistry immediate, or were you two like oil and water at first and had to eventually bridge the gap?
No, I think it was immediate, honestly. Like, I remember getting to the PC, and she just like, what she's like, I don't know if people really, really know how she is. She is a very caring, nice, helpful person. So like, on several occasions, when I'm feeling like, when I first got there, and I'm like cold and I don't want to talk to anybody, because I'm like, not that I don't want to talk to anybody, but I don't want to like approach people, because I don't know, I'm new. And she's just consistent, like, how can I help you? Do you need anything? Like, what is this? And I'm just like, who is this? Like, who is this? But we saw, I think there was one match, I think it was my very first match, that wasn't the Mae Young Classic. So like, for a live event there, my very first live event match, I think it was her and I teaming together. And so at first, like, she did her thing, I did my thing, and then I started thinking, and I'm like, these combos, like, could flow well together. And it's like funny, because if you go back, I gotta find it. And it's like, if you see one of like the combos, you can see where it morphed, like where it started into like what it is now. Because one of the ones we had back then, we use it now. And it's just crazy, because every time we stepped in the ring together, it was more and more of like, what could go with this, what could do this. And it's like, timing is everything, and we know that for each other. So it's like, I have to time things right, she has to time things right, and we're both on the same page. And it's always been that way. Like, I'm always making sure that we're always like in sync in that manner. And it's just natural too, because if you ever sit next to us while we're talking, you'll see that we like basically say the same exact thing at the same exact time, always, without even thinking it. It's crazy.
That's why. Hey, it's great. I mean, that's very rare you find in pro wrestling, let alone in life itself as a friendship. So that's great to hear. So you two seem to get along real well outside of the ring too.
Yeah, definitely. We are definitely very opposite, which I think it helps, because we're opposite in a good way. I think that like, more like, I'm more like rebellious, carefree. I don't pay attention to things. I don't think about things. And she's very like, she has to think about it. She has to be on time. She has to do it the right way. It has to be. And so like, I think it's a good balance, because I feel like now, like, she's a little bit more rebellious, and I'm a little bit more like, I'm a little bit more together, because like, we kind of do that to each other, especially spending so much time time with each other. But we do have our differences and we do get in fights, which people think that we don't. But it's funny how we fight because it's like we may yell at each other, but then like right after we're like, okay, like we just like, all right, and we just move on to the next thing that we're doing. And it's just easy, you know, it's not someone we don't hold grudges against each other and we don't do all that. Like, so that's why it makes it easy. And also too, I just want to point out if I call her Kacy in the ring, I am right because her name is Katana Chance. So I am allowed to call her Kacy, by the way, for anyone who wants to fight me on that either.
I don't think we want to fight you. You're pretty tough. Awesome. Well, before we let you go, we always like to ask all our guests some kind of random and rapid fire questions just to get to know them better. Are you ready, Lacey?
I think.
All right, here we go. Favorite late night snack or cheat meal?
Late night snack or cheat meal? A fluff sandwich.
Okay. All right. All-time favorite wrestler?
All-time favorite wrestler? Oh, God, it's like a tie. I have like a three tie. I have like The Rock, I have Stone Cold, and I have Sting.
All great choices. You mentioned too that plenty of the women when you went to NXT in the old days really inspired you. Was there one that really stood out to you that you maybe kind of saw yourself in that you could say like, okay, I can emulate this person?
Okay, this sounds like really bad, but it's not. But I always loved not to emulate, but just to be on their journey, which it was the Four Horsewomen because I watched them so much in that era. So that's what I feel like it was. All of them had a different journey, and I feel like I resonated with each and every one of them in some different aspects. So I always wanted to follow just the journey, so never like the persona.
You're Jamaican and Filipina, come from an awesome multicultural background. How much of that has impacted your life as far as your worldview, and how much do we see of that on TV?
For me, it was hard growing up because I feel like back then, growing up in Winter Park, it wasn't as accepted to be like multicultural. Like it felt very like I felt always out of place. But it was weird because I grew up never seeing color. Like I grew up with a white grandfather. My grandmother is Filipino. My mom's Filipino. My dad's Jamaican. And so like to me, never saw color. It never meant anything until I got into the real world and saw like, okay, this is a thing like right now, like slow your brakes. So it took a while for me to feel comfortable with who I am. And as I grew into an adult and like morphed into my little butterfly, you know, I felt so good about being who I am and like loving my cultures. Like I love my Jamaican side, I love my Filipino side. And I try to show that, which is hard because it's like in my entrance, they say from the Philippines. And I'm like, no. I want to say representing, like, you know, because I am proud because I identify with my culture side for my whole or my Filipino side, growing up my whole life, you know. So like I just wanted to like show it like some appreciation to that as well. And that's as much as you see besides my gear right now, because I got the Filipino sun on my gear. So I've been trying to incorporate a lot more to just show that and just to be more proud, you know. But yeah.
Very cool. Have you been to Jamaica or the Philippines?
No, not yet. Like when I remember I was gonna go and then I didn't. And then I'm trying to plan on going this year in December to the Philippines. And then my uncle has been trying to get me to go to Jamaica. So like I'm trying to do it all like in like a short span of time.
Well, I wish you the best. I hope you can certainly make those trips. And on that note, what's your favorite Filipino dish?
Biko, which is the sticky rice, the coconut sticky rice with the brown sugar on top. But I am a Sinigang girl. Okay, I know it's Sinigang, but Sinigang to me. I like vinegary things, so that's like one of my favorite dishes. And obviously lumpia. I love all of them. I can't even sit here and be like, I'm gonna sit here and go down the list. I'm like, okay, everything Filipino.
Hey, it's all great food. Now, for those watching on TV and online, you have a great backdrop. You got, of course, it looks like all your initial gears that you've worn. You've got your NXT Women's Tag Team Championship, and then you've got an awesome painting there. It looks like something out of Game of Thrones. But you told me off air that actually refers to Dragon Age. I'm also a huge Dragon Age fan, so I got to ask you, who's your favorite Dragon Age character?
My favorite Dragon Age character, it was Solus until like I felt like he did a betrayal, but then he wasn't a betrayal, but it wasn't. So I still think it's Solus. I like Cole. Like Cole was like my dude. I don't know, it was his hat, like whatever. And then who else did I like in there? Her name was like Morgan. Morgan. Yeah. Morgan. It starts with an M.
Morrigan.
Yes, there it is. Her. She's pretty fire.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. Now, when you play Dragon Age or any Bioware game, do you like to go on the straight and narrow path as the Inquisitor, or are you messy? Do you like to have all these relationships and flirt all over the place and kick
Oh
out
my
team
god.
members? What's your pathway?
I'm that person. I'd be like, oh, let me see what this relationship cooks up. Like I remember I was like the Inquisitor and I was forming love relations with everybody. Like I was just out here flirting and stuff like that. Cause I'm just like I'm a messy player. Just because I want to see what it is. And especially like the path you choose, it like obviously changes the game somehow. So I'm all over the place.
Awesome. And you're also all over the place when it comes to hobbies and in a great way. Of course, you mentioned line dancing, you do
Yeah.
TikTok and all that jazz as well. But when you're not doing anything athletic or training for your next pro wrestling match, what do
Mhm.
you also like to do for fun?
Well, let's add Bob the Builder to that list because I decided that I was going to be able to just demo everything in my house and do it by myself. I'm actually working on my bathroom. When I say I demoed my bathroom, like demolished it to where there was nothing left, no walls. Because when I first moved in here, I don't know if someone told me that there was like a skeletal of a cockroach or something like that because that bathroom doesn't get used, like the water doesn't flow through. So someone said they saw it, and since I moved in here, I had never stepped into that bathroom. Like I refuse. Like, so I tore it down and decided that I would rebuild it myself. And I just got done building a deck. So for my dogs to step down so it's not so hard on their paws. But yes, Bob the Builder, I think would be the next, addition to what I can do now.
That's awesome. So you're definitely multi-talented. So we talked about comedy and your love for film and TV and everything.
Mhm.
Have you looked into doing? I know you're dedicated to pro wrestling, but have you looked into doing anything in the world of TV, film, or maybe even stand up?
I would love to, honestly, but I feel like again, I'm like all over the place. Like I'm chaotic and it's just like I don't know if, my attention span is enough for me to be an actor. I would love a reality show. Like me and Katana have talked about it a lot. Because I think that our life is actually just comical in itself, especially my family members are all their own characters, and our relationship between her and I is a whole like laugh just in itself, you know what I'm saying? Everything that we've ever been through. So like I always constantly talk to her about that. And I'm like over here, I'd be like have my notebook to like write my whole entire like episodes down, like what it would be, our journey on stuff like that. So I think I can do reality TV because I can be me and it's like I don't need anything or someone needs me to be a specific way. Even though I would, if I gave the opportunity, I would do it. But just let's say reality TV is probably more my style.
All right, I dig that, and yeah, and you also talked about how your family at first wanted you to kind of get a traditional job. I feel like that's like typical for like multicultural families. So full disclosure, I'm also Lebanese Venezuelan, so I understand. Like,
Yes.
yeah, it's understandable. You come to this country, they want you to get a good job and just
Right.
live a normal life and everything. And anything that deviates from that is a little like it's a little out of the norm for them. So, at what point did your family kind of finally accept like, all right, like Lacey, you're really doing it here?
When I got signed to do I literally was like, I told everybody, I'm like, I'm gonna be a wrestler. And everyone's like, what? And I was like, yeah, like I want to wrestle. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say. Like, I don't think they understood fully like what wrestling like was really about until like they actually witnessed it. Like they came because like, they would come to my indie shows. I did a few indie shows before I got signed. And so they would like, see it, but it's nothing compared to like the stage that when you're in WWE and the presentation and the quality of it, like they really viewed me like as a star. Like when they saw me like in the Mae Young Classic, and just like the evolution from there. So like I think that they really were like, and now they're like the most supportive ever. Like I know they didn't understand it at first. My mom's like, Anak, you gotta be a nurse, you need the benefits. Like, but I'm like, you know what, mom, there's other things that, like that strike me. And I just didn't want to miss the chance. So like I think that's what they learned most about me is that I took us I had to become selfish for a minute and I had to worry about me and giving myself the opportunity. I accomplished one great thing being a champion, which was like a dream of mine, and then my next dream was to like make an impact with the world, and I feel like I got to do that as soon as I got signed. I get to, you know, let people know that like it's okay to look different. It's okay to accept your culture. It's okay to be you. It's okay that people don't like you. I'm not for everyone. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I love myself, and that's the biggest impact and the biggest help that I can give to anyone else. So that was a dream of mine. And now that I get to live that, I feel like they support that fully because they see that I can make a difference in someone else's life and like, give them like the chance to feel like they have opportunities to do whatever they want.
Very, very well said. That's so great. You summed it up perfectly there. What's your most awkward moment as a WWE superstar?
Okay, I think my most like awkward moments is like when I'm going down to my entrance and like I'm like giving hands to somebody and then like or like I'm like tapping hands with somebody and then like someone like tries to take their hand away like in the moment but then like my personality just snaps and so like this is like me. Hang on, I have to show you. It'll be like this and I see that person take away and I'll snap and be like, well, like screw you then, buddy. Like, like just break character and get mad. Cause I'm like, all right, if you didn't want to, like, you don't gotta embarrass me like that. Like, you don't gotta like go like this and then, do one of those. But it's some fans too, though. They know what they're doing. They always try to be funny about that stuff. So
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, they got so excited to be on camera, and then as soon as they got on camera, they just are like, oh hey, now's my chance.
yeah, no, it is. And it's like funny because like I like it's hard because me in real life, if you said something to me, I would immediately like just my I have no chill when it comes to like how I react impulsively, like in a fiery way to somebody. So if I'm like walking around and someone says something, my first instinct is be like, yo, you shut up. Like, like screw you, man. Like I have to chill. So like that's why I think it gets weird for me when fans act crazy. So yeah, whatever.
Although, in fairness to you, it's also good that you set boundaries because
Yeah.
most fans are great, but there's some that might hit you up at an airport or public place, and at times maybe it's not the right time to approach you.
No, it's not. But you know what? I honestly, it's weird because I saw, and this is like not on anybody. It's just it's preference for people. When I used to watch the NXT shows, I made a group of friends, and we always traveled together. So I went to all the shows with them, followed NXT around because I wanted to see if I could really do it, right? So after the shows, if they wanted an autograph, what they would do was they would wait. So I would just be sitting by the car watching like how it went, and like people waited for hours. They waited for hours just for the chance to meet somebody, and some people didn't stop. Some people left where you couldn't even like get the opportunity to ask them for a picture for an autograph. And I always just was like, if I ever got put in that position, I feel like I would do my best to try because I always thought it was like the fans are the ones who help to succeed because they buy your merch, they support you, they want to take pictures with you. You know what I'm saying? They're like the fuel to like, how you succeed in some type of way. So I always told myself that like I would try to be better. Like I would try to do as best as I can to be, what I'm saying, like what I could for the fans. So that's why it's hard for me to like turn off all the time or you know what I'm saying? Like it's weird.
I feel like, but that's a great attitude to have, and again, but it's also great that you do set boundaries, especially when they
Yeah.
pull their hand out. Like, come on now.
Yeah, no, when they get out of pocket, like that thing I saw with Cody and CM Punk, I'm like, girl, like I was getting mad. I was like, get your hands off them ladies, man's like,
Yeah.
like, but it's just like, I feel like people just don't know how to like, kind of like take a chill when it's like hard for us because it's like, then we look like we're mean. You know what I'm saying? We look
Mhm.
like we don't care or something like that. But it's just like, if this was like in real life, you wouldn't do that to somebody random. Like you would have respect. So as much as we respect and we have our boundaries, they got to know that too, which some people just feel comfortable to overstep, which is like, that's what makes our job even harder. That's just added to the list of things that we have to worry about is because some people don't want to give themselves boundaries or respect just because it's wrestling.
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, I think the best way we could describe it for real life is like if this would be an HR violation in your job, okay, do not do that with any pro wrestler, whatever the case may
Right.
be.
Yes, exactly.
What's your best piece of advice for success?
For me, it's just, well, someone told me, I'm not someone, Cody, that's not someone, that's someone big. Cody told me like he thinks that the people who endure are the people who are so successful and always do great things. And I feel like enduring any kind of feeling, any kind of emotion, witnessing anything is something that you have to be strong about because you're going to go through ups and downs. I think that's what makes Katana and I so strong is that we have had each other like as a rock for each other and it's never been any jealousy. There's never been any animosity. We're always constantly in support of each other and that's what helps to keep our mental as strong as it possibly can be. So in order for us in the success that we've had to endure so much and it's like we sometimes thought that it would never be our time and that like we were never going to make it or we were never good enough, but the fact that we were patient and we kept working hard led us to like all the accomplishments that we had. And I feel like people don't really recognize that is like being the longest reigning NXT champions and being, you know, the only team to ever hold both titles is something that's a part of their history now. And, you know, regardless of what, we did one thing that is successful in our minds, is that that's one of our legacies, is that we have. No one can ever do that again unless they bring back the title or whatever, but we'll always be the first, you know. And that was having patience, that was working hard, that was staying consistent, and that was just like really being supportive to each other and finding someone, you know, that can really support you and just uplift you in the times where you really feel like you're down. So, like I said, success to me is just like about enduring and finding the people and surrounding yourself with people that can uplift you, and just to always work hard no matter how much you think it doesn't affect you. Like, you know, it's just like being you and staying genuine to what you do. That's how I feel about it.
Amen to that. Very wise words. Love to hear it. We really do appreciate the time. Before we let you go, where can fans find you online? And of course, Friday Night SmackDown USA Network. But besides that, where can we find you next?
Yes. I mean, you can go all over my TikTok, my Instagram. It's all the same as Kayden WWE. Follow me on my TikTok and watch all my funny videos with all my people. And then hopefully we'll get a reality show, and then you guys can watch me wherever that is. Come see me at World, everybody. Like, if this is before Mania, like, everybody come see us at Worlds. We'll be there on Thursday. I'll be at SmackDown on Friday. We have a match, a 6-woman tag. We're gonna shut that service down, punks. And yeah, we'll be around all weekend. So yeah, I'm hoping to see everybody.
Amazing. Lacey, bonus question.
Okay.
Is there anything you wish I asked you in this interview?
I feel like I talked about everything. I don't think there's anything. Dream opponents, like the journey, everything. No, I don't think so. Unless you were just asking me like what my favorite anime was.
What's your favorite anime?
Hands down Naruto. Like,
All right.
that's like OG, but like obviously right now Solo Leveling has by far like have a different standard of anime right now. So I mean, I love Naruto. He's always going to be my OG, but these new animes that are coming out, oh my gosh. Oh my god, they're on another level.
And now that WWE has a Netflix deal, Netflix has heavy investment in anime. You said you don't know if you have the patience for acting or anything, but maybe voice acting? Maybe some dubbing?
Yeah, like totally. I would love to be an anime character. Somebody make it happen.
We'll revisit this in a little bit when it does happen. There you go.
Okay, yes, no, like we'll mark this moment, okay?
Amazing. Well, Lacey, aka Kayden Carter, thank you so much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you, learning about your journey, sharing some laughs, and we're definitely looking forward to seeing what you do on Friday Night SmackDown and USA Network, WrestleMania weekend, and beyond. Thanks so much.
Thank you.